Here are 8 habits that can empower your English public speaking. First, be proactive. Own your learning. Own your voice. Too often, learners wait. Wait for the right teacher, the right method, the right moment. But fluency does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who take charge. Neuroscientific studies show that active engagement, speaking aloud, writing, and conversing, creates stronger neural pathways than passive listening alone. The more you speak, the faster you progress. Shakespeare warned us, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." So take control. Speak boldly, write daringly, immerse yourself in English, and it will soon become a part of you. 2. Begin with the end in mind. Envision your fluent self. What does fluency mean to you? Is it confidently presenting at an international conference? Debating complex ideas in English? Reading Pride and Prejudice without the dictionary? Without a clear vision, your learning will lack direction. Timothy Galway's The Inner Game of Tennis emphasizes that visualization accelerates skill development. Athletes who mentally rehearse their performance improve faster. The same applies to English learners. Picture yourself speaking fluently. Let that vision shape your daily practice. As Dickens observed, a man is not idle because he is absorbed in thought. There is a visible labor and there is an invisible labor. That invisible labor, the internalization of your future fluent self, is the foundation of mastery. Third, put first things first. Prioritize the essentials. Many learners waste years memorizing obscure words while struggling with basic conversation. Research shows that 80% of spoken English relies on just 2,000 core words. Master these before chasing complexity. Prioritize the big 3. First, comprehensible input. Read, watch, and listen to content slightly above your level. 2. Output. Speak and write daily. 3. Feedback. Actively refine pronunciation and grammar based on corrections. Mark Twain put it simply, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. So stop overcomplicating things and dive into real English. 4. Think win-win. Learn like a social being. Language is not a solitary pursuit. It thrives in human connection. The most effective learners don't just bury themselves in textbooks. They engage with people, ideas, and cultures. Linguistic research confirms that language is best acquired in social interaction, where meaning is negotiated, refined, and internalized through dialogue. Consider how babies acquire the first language, not through rote memorization, but through constant exposure to interaction. Studies on second language acquisition show that adults, too, learn best when they use the language in dynamic, meaningful ways, rather than just studying it passively. This is why immersion, conversation, and debate accelerate fluency far beyond textbook exercises. The world's greatest polyglot, people like Pato Lom, a Hungarian interpreter fluent in over a dozen languages, have emphasized that speaking with others is the most powerful language learning tool. Lom herself learned new languages by reading novels aloud, watching foreign films without subtitles, and forcing herself into conversation before she felt ready. She understood that perfectionism is the enemy of progress. Only through imperfect but constant communication does fluency emerge. Tolstoy wrote, "Happiness is real only when shared. Language, too, is real when shared." The most effective English learners aren't those who hide behind grammar books, They are those who step into the arena, make connections, and let the language breathe. 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Listen with intent. Great speakers are first great listeners. Stephen Krashen's input hypothesis proves that meaningful exposure to language accelerates fluency. Listen not just for words, but for rhythm, tone, and nuance. F. Scott Fitzgerald reminds us, you don't write because you want to say something. You write because you have something to say. Likewise, you don't speak English for the sake of speaking. You listen, absorb, and then express yourself with depth and clarity. 6. Synergize. Learn from the greats. Why limit yourself to dull textbooks when history's greatest minds can be your teachers? Read Orwell for clarity, Austen for wit, Hemingway for simplicity, Shakespeare for the music of language. Isaac Newton acknowledged, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. The more you learn from literary giants, the greater your command of English will become. 7. Sharpen the saw. Never stop growing. Fluency is not a destination. It is a lifelong journey. The best learners never settle. They challenge themselves with new books, new conversations, and new intellectual frontiers. They treat language not as a static skill, but as an evolving art form. Neuroscientific research backs this up. Bilinguals and polyglots consistently show greater cognitive flexibility, memory retention, and even delayed onset of dementia. But what's even more fascinating is how language learning reshapes identity. The Shapier-Whorf hypothesis suggests that language molds perception, meaning that every new phrase, every idiom, every nuance learning English literally rewrites the way you see the world. History is filled with relentless learners who embody this philosophy. Vladimir Nabokov, a Russian-born literary giant, didn't just master English. He wielded it with such poetic precision that Lolita became one of the greatest English language novels ever written. Joseph Conrad, a Polish sailor, wrote Heart of Darkness in English, despite it being his third language. Samuel Beckett, an Irishman, famously abandoned writing in English to challenge himself with the sparse elegance of French. What do all these minds have in common? They never stopped sharpening their saws. They refused to let fluency be the final achievement. Instead, they made language a lifelong pursuit. In the words of Albert Einstein, intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. The most effective English learners don't just aim to be fluent, they aim to be better than they were yesterday. 8. Find your voice. Inspire others to find theirs. Too many learners fear imperfection, but true fluency isn't just correctness, it's authenticity. Covey's 8 Habits teaches that real success lies in inspiring others. Use your English to tell stories, share ideas, and connect across cultures. Maya Angelou once said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." The world needs your perspective. It needs your voice, spoken with your words, your thoughts, your courage. In conclusion, transform your mind, transform your English. Fluency is not about memorization. It's about mindset. The most effective learners cultivate habits that make mastery inevitable. Be proactive, dream big, focus on what matters, connect with people, listen deeply, learn from the greats, never stop growing, find your voice, inspire others. English is not just a language, it is a world, and that world is yours to claim.